So this is the 2019 Arbor Cypress binding, and it's such a good binding. They really did a great job for their first round. And they made some tweaks for 2019 that make this binding a whole lot better. And the main thing is the ratchets. They're still far from perfect, but they're just a lot better. You know, they're holding a lot better than the old ones. These are demos, and they're kind of, when I got them, they're a little beat up. But the ratchets, for some reason, have this really weird curve. But if it wasn't for that, they'd be a lot smoother. But they just don't, you know, the demo models we tried on another demo were really good and really didn't catch and did a really good job holding and working, where, you know, I'd still give them like a C, but they're functional now. You know, all in all, and this is a binding set for the evolution of us humans. We're getting bigger, and 9 is no longer the average size in snowboarding. 10 is the average size, then 11 is second, and 9 is third. So my poor, my once average 9 feet are now bordering on the smaller side. So they've sized these from 9 to 11, which, you know, their medium large is a 9 to 11, which is a much better size. But when I put these on with my Adidas, these are the medium large. I would, if I bought a pair of these, or if I asked for a pair of these from Arbor, I would get the small medium, because I ride an 8.5 Adidas because they run a size large. So you size down, and a 9 Burton, but you know, those are kind of my two favorite boots to ride. But you know, there's some great boots from K2 and Ride and Vans and everywhere else. A lot of great boots out there, but with the most reduced footprint boots like those, they're more like an 8, even, you know, 8.5, 8, sometimes even a 7.5. So they much better fit the small one. You know, I didn't get super thorough the last time I rode these. I was so enamored with the comparison of the, you know, these bindings and how they rode compared to, let's say, you know, like Burton, some of my favorite Burton Reflex, like the Burton Genesis and the Burton Cartels, and in some of these Union bindings I love, like the Contact Pro and the Contact of the time, and you know, the Union Atlas, and so many other Union bindings. I really wanted to see what they were like. I kind of forgot about really taking these things apart and seeing how adjustable they are. Well, this time I did. Before, I just loosened these screws and I was like, oh, the heel loop doesn't come out. But what you have to do is you have to take this all the way off, and then I put, you know, I slid this all the way in. You've got 3 sections, one here, and one here. So you can pull this out pretty far if you're an 11, and push it pretty far in, but I didn't feel like I had as much heel loop to push in or pull out as I did with, let's say, you know, the Union Atlas or Union Force. But it's enough. And then another bummer is I unscrewed this, but I didn't feel like you could really slide this toe ramp in or out like a lot of companies do, or play around with the heel loop. It just kind of is where it is. And even pushing this all the way in with my Adidas Tactical ADVs, there's just too much heel over here and too little toe over here. So if you're a 9 and you're riding most modern boots, like even K2, and a lot of the companies that had like, and Solomon, who were like, probably had like the longest boots, like the most, like the least reduced in footprint, kind of some of the biggest culprits of that have reduced their footprint. So, you know, they're still like a good bit bigger than like a lot of the leaders in the industry, but they've definitely brought it closer. And even those boots though, it's like if I was a 9, you know, I'm a 9 in most boots, I'd still get the medium, the small medium. So if you're kind of one of those, if you're kind of in between sizes, I'd probably go small medium and maybe pull the heel loop out all the way. It feels like it would just be more balanced, more centered on board. And so, you know, if you're a, you know, probably like a 10 up, 10 and 11, these fit really well. But as a 9, I just feel like they're just a bit too big. I just wasn't out on the toe ramp like I'd want to be. Now these mini discs are pretty good. They're Burton channel compatible, and you know, they're just like the Union mini discs. There's not much adjustability there, but when you're putting it on a board and you're putting it right next to each other, just sliding it a little bit gets you most of the stance width range. It's almost close to EST. The one drawback though is if you buy a board with setback inserts, you know, that skip an insert and set all the way back, so they're like 1.5 inches back from the last insert, these aren't going to work with those. So that's kind of a bummer. But you're Burton channel compatible, all in one disc. You're not wasting, you know, materials, and you're hanging in there. And you know, you can slide these, you know, probably like 5 mils, you know, either way from center. So there's decent stance width adjustability there. So you can kind of get your stance width right. And it's nice when you're just going binding to binding like that. It covers a wider range. I'd love to see a little more there, but it's not necessary. And then, you know, under the pretty lights, you're looking at this X-Base, whatever you want to call it. This is just EVA foam all the way through to the board, so there's no contact. Same with the nose, not the nose, same with the toe ramp and the heel cup. And then you have this rubber base. This is just like a firm, super damp rubber. And then, you know, that combined with this little mini disc, that's really the only true contact with the board. But this rubber has like some give to it. It's got some spring, and you can see there's very little contact. Like you look at it this way and it looks like a big bulky binding, right? And then you look at it this way and you're like, whoa, not much is touching, man. This is, and you look at it from the side and you're like, oh, this part, you know, is off the board, so there is really minimal contact. This is almost right there with like Burton reflexes and right there with Union mini disc bindings in terms of contact on board, butterability. But then this rubbery material at the bottom has a lot more energy, so it's really good. It's really lively, transferring edge to edge. It just looks like I'm rocking there. Kind of like a crystal meth rock in a rocking chair, meth addict in a rocking chair. But it's really got that fun kind of just, you know, back and forth. And then, you know, when you're buttering and spinning, it just feels like it's throwing more energy into that and helping you do more. So as, you know, average riders like ourselves, we love something that provides a little extra. And makes us, you know, helps us be a better rider. And that's what these do. You can also adjust the, you know, like I did in this one, you can rotate the Highback, and it's got a pretty decent rotation here. You can see like here's straight, and I've got this in line with the edge, and you still got a pretty good angle. So if you're like at 15 or something, this is gonna feel good and not bite your calf. You know, it's got a pretty stiff flex going back, but a decent twist, and you can kind of see there's a decent amount of curve to it. So, you know, sometimes that can bite a bigger calf like myself, and being able to rotate that high back pretty well, it's definitely a bit of work. And one of these screws here was loose, and I had to put a Phillips on this side and a flathead on the other and kind of get it going, because it was spinning on the other side. And then when I put it back, it wasn't. So I think it's just another demo issue. These are kind of beaten up demos. So I hope one day to ride the size medium smalls instead of the medium large. You know, and we already touched on a lot of this stuff in the on snow review of the 2019 Cypress. But, you know, this ankle strap is just great. I love this ASIM ankle strap. I just felt no pressure points. The toe strap's really good. I just really want to try a medium small and just kind of see, like, I know I'm going to get, if I do that, I'm going to get more response because I'm going to be up on the toe ramp and I'm going to be centered on the, you know, I'm just going to kind of be where my boot needs to be in the binding to be centered on the board to turn everything right. Right now, I'm kind of like missing the gas pedal. You know, my boot kind of starts to curve up about right here, and it's like not even touching the gas pedal. And I'm still surprised at how much response I'm getting. So that's really cool. So all in all, this is just under the pretty lights, a somewhat ugly demo under some pretty lights. Just giving you a look as to what's going on here. You know, standard, just, you know, forward lean. If you want to bite into your calves and get some decent forward lean, you got that going for you. But there you go, the Arbor Cypress. This is my personal favorite binding over the Hemlock. The Hemlock's just a little softer. It really likes those continuous rocker boards or hybrid rocker boards that are really easy turning, where this seems like it can power just about anything.